Welcome to the Answers for Elders radio show. Meet the trusted experts who will give you straight answers and will help guide you on the path of later life care. Now, here's your host, founder, caregiver, and CEO, Suzanne Newman.
And welcome back, everyone, to Answers for Elders Radio Network. And I am here with Lisa Mayfield, who is the CEO and founder of Aging Wisdom, based in Seattle, Washington. And Lisa and I go way back. I remember way back in an Alzheimer's conference that I met you and instantly was impressed with your heart and your compassion and all the things of who you are, Lisa. And I am very interested in this segment to have you talk about this planning phase. If someone calls you and says, a wife calls you, my husband has been diagnosed with Alzheimer's, what do you do at that point?
And when you were talking about planning, it actually made me think of a couple that I've worked with, but doesn't exactly answer this question. Is I met with them 10 years ago, and they were 70 at the time, and they had just retired, and they were wanting to meet with me to be thinking, what should we be thinking about at this time? And at that point in time, the most important priority was getting their legal documents together, making sure they've done their power of attorney documents and their advance directives. So they felt better. We made that connection. I heard from them 5 years later. And that point, it was more, okay, we know we want to stay home, but let's tour some retirement communities just so we see what they're like. And so I identified a few, and they toured, and they kind of went on their way that, oh, we feel better. We've done some planning. I just heard from them recently, and the husband is, they're now 80. He was just diagnosed with a type of dementia. So the story is helpful because they were planning. So they'd been planning for 10 years. They had this relationship with me. So when that sort of change had happened, they were, oh, we know who to call. We had a relationship they could connect, but now it was much more real. So what do we do now with this diagnosis? And I think for those families, it's really thinking about, what can they expect? What's coming down the road? What should they be thinking about? And really the big question is, do they want to stay at home, or do they want to think about moving?
Right. And Lisa, I remember when I took care of my mom, my support network was also the people that cared for her. They helped me. But, a lot of times when before she even went into that phase, it's like understanding the industry, understanding what you're dealing with, what resources are out there, connecting people to the right, ethical type of providers, that you're not going to go down the road of, being with someone that's not legitimate. And sadly, that happens with a lot of seniors. Maybe it starts with home care, or even just, once a week. But the point is that you have your ducks in a row, I guess, is the point in that planning process. And then, of course, somebody like you that may understand much more about if someone has COPD, what are the options out there if and when it progresses through their age or something like that. How much does that factor into how you make recommendations?
Well, and I think your point of, I think the main thing we're doing with people that are planning ahead is teaching them the lay of the land. Like, what does it look like if you stay at home? What's available? What do those resources look like? What does it cost? Where do you find those people? And then if you were to move, what's assisted living? What's memory care? What's a continuing care retirement community? Helping people understand, here are all your options. Here's how they're different. Here's why you might pick one or the other. And then most importantly, being able to strategize with people based on their own situation, which typically relates to their finances. Like how much financial resources does this couple have for their future planning? And based on that, we can help them create plans that are, realistic and sustainable financially.
Yeah. And to think about, everybody's different. There is no cookie cutter solutions. And I think a lot of people that I talk to, they think that right away somebody's going to meet with them and they're going to push them into doing something they don't want to do. And that couldn't be more farther from the truth. I think the number one creed, especially from someone like you that has an ethics clause, is you always do the right thing for the right reasons. And it's not about pushing anybody into anything. And I think that in the transitionary period, do you find that that's a big fear of a lot of times with people that you meet with?
Yeah, it's hard. I think when you're in territory that's unfamiliar, it's, you know, to be a bit skeptical and nervous is really common. And it is an industry where there's some assertive and aggressive fields and people. And so I think that that can be a natural reaction. And I think when you're talking about no cookie cutter, I mean, that is so true. As people will ask me, oh, which retirement community do you recommend? And they have no idea how complicated
there's many great ones
is. It's
that
like,
we don't
what's
know
your
which,
personality? What's your finances? Do you want grass? Do you want a view? Like, there's so much that we have to take into consideration. It's not just as easy as, oh, go call this one.
Exactly. And I think the other thing that we have to look at too is, I know for a family, if a loved one was diagnosed with Alzheimer's dementia, how do they be the best support? And I think what you can help them do is help the family understand what they're dealing with, understand how to communicate, how to, effectively be the best support. And, I remember for my mom, I had it all planned out and I informed her in our first gathering of, Mom, I got this all planned. You're going to move on this date. And she just looked at me like, you're absolutely crazy. Right. But I thought I was doing the right thing. And actually what I didn't do is I didn't give her the opportunity to make choices. And that, I think, is teaching that piece of, understanding to still be the daughter, still be the son, and allow somebody that's like you to help take the lead of the difficult decisions.
And it's not uncommon. Your mom was like many moms that are a bit, fiercely independent, a bit stubborn, resistant to help. And so helping families navigate, how do you manage when your parent is resisting that help, or your spouse or partner? They're the same way. They're resisting that help.
Very
so
true.
Helping families navigate that. And you said the word, like, how to communicate. That's so important, because I think oftentimes people are interacting with somebody with memory changes and they feel like they're banging their head against the wall and in kind of arguments. And so teaching the family how to communicate differently, because their loved one with memory changes is not going to change. It has to be.
And their reality is their reality.
Yep.
And you can't all of a sudden tell them, or have them relive a death over again. How many times have I heard families, Mom keeps talking about where's Dad and he died 5 years ago. And I just go, then Dad's at the store. It's okay, to accept their reality. And I think that's one of the things that families, I remember for me, I was always wanting to be accurate with everything.
Corrector.
I learned that doesn't necessarily work that way.
Yes. Yeah, but it's really tough, and it's so much easier said than done. But when you hire a professional like a care manager, they can often be the bad guy for you, and often might say everything you're saying, but it's somebody else. So they might hear it differently.
So Lisa and I, we're going to be right back right after this. In the meantime, what is your website, Lisa?
www.agingwisdom.com.
And the association where you can find a practitioner in your area is
aginglifecare.org. O-R-G.
O-R-G. And Lisa and I, we're going to be right back right after this.
We at Answers for Elders thank you for listening. Did you know that you can discover hundreds of podcasts in our library on senior care? So visit our website and discover our decision guides that will help you also navigate decision making. Find us at answersforelders.com.